Children, now we will start the next chapter, that is the Kings and the Chronicles, which is the 9th chapter of history book, second. And it's the period which we are going to discuss in this chapter, that is 16th and 17th century. As you all know that was the period of the 16th and 17th century was of the Mughal period, and Mughal rulers used to be there. The first Mughal ruler was Babur, who fought the battle of Panipat in 1526. Thereafter he started the Mughal dynasty in India, and which continued till 1857, when the last ruler Bahadur Shah Zafar was overthrown by the Britishers. So you can see that in the picture there is a mausoleum, and this is the mausoleum of Taimur, and which is in Central Asia. So Mughals used to call themselves as the Taimurids because they used to belong to the family of the Taimur, and Taimur was the ruler who invaded in India, and he looted India as well as the Delhi, and he did a lot of slaughter in India. So he was an invader of the medieval ages, and the Mughals used to be the follower of the Taimur. They also belong to the family of Taimur, so they used to call themselves as the Timurids. Now you can see that there is a darbar, and this is the Mughal darbar, Mughal court, and the ruler is sitting in the center on a high platform, and this is the takht, Mughal takht, and the courtiers are surrounding himself. So that kind of the structure used to be there in the Mughal court. So we will read about the chronicles of the Mughal court, and chronicles are the major source of information of the medieval ages, and especially of the Mughal rule, and what kind of administration was there, what kind of the social structure was there, what kind of the society was there, what were the taxes, what were the sources of the income of the state, and how the chronicles used to be produced, and how much important it used to be considered by the ruler, that we are going to discuss over here. So first of all, the kings and the chronicles. The Mughal king commissioned court historians to write accounts. You can see that there are many people which is shown in the image. They are writing something. So day-to-day happening and major events were recorded by these writers, and they used to write them in a chronicle, that can be the biography or autobiography of a ruler. These accounts recorded the events of the emperor's time. In addition, their writers collected vast amount of information. So they did not only write about the ruler, they also used to gather the information of the state under their rule, and they all were recorded in those chronicles from the region of the subcontinent, and to help the rulers govern their domain. And these information which were collected by these people who used to be like the reporters, that information was also very important for the ruler, because ruler used to get a lot of information about the people and the territory. As a result, he used to make policies accordingly. Modern historians writing in English have termed these genres of text chronicles, as they present a continuous chronological record of the events. Now what is chronicles? Chronicles are the writings which is recorded with the time and date. So they are recorded according to the time and date in a chronological order. That's why they are called the chronicles. So modern historians call the biography or autobiography of these rulers as the chronicles, because they used to tell us about different incidents or happening of that time in a sequence of time. So they are called the chronicles. Chronicles are an indispensable source for any scholar wishing to write the history of the Mughals. So these chronicles are giving a lot of information. So they are very important source of the information of the Mughal court and their rule for the historians. Now Mughals and their empire. So we will start how the Mughals came in India, and from where they set up their empire, who was the first emperor, that we are going to discuss over here. The name Mughal derives from Mongol. Mughal is a term which was used by the British historians, and that Mughal term has come from the Mongol, and we have discussed the Mongols in the 11th class, that is about the Genghis Khan. So Mughals somehow used to belong to the Genghis Khan, because the mother of the Babur used to be from the family of Genghis Khan. Though today the term evokes the grandeur of an empire, so Mughal is a term which is used for an empire. It was not the name of any ruler in the dynasty, and Mughals did not himself used to call the Mughals. They used to call themselves as the Timurids because they used to belong from the family of the Timur, who was a Central Asian invader who invaded in India also, because they were the descendant of Timur. Babur, who was the first ruler, you can see from the image, this is the image of Babur. He was the first ruler of the Mughal rule in India, and he set up the Mughal rule in India. He belonged to the family of Genghis Khan, especially from his maternal side. His mother used to be from the family of Genghis Khan, and he was a Turkish person, so he used to speak the Turkish language better than any other language, and he used to call Mongols as the barbaric horde. So they did not used to tell the people about their linkage to the Mongol family, because Mongols used to be considered as the barbaric by these people. So they did not call themselves as from the Mongolian family. So Mughal was not a name which was given by them to their dynasty. Rather, they used to call themselves as the Timurids, and they used to enjoy better respect while calling themselves as the Timurids. But later historians called them the Mughals. So Mughal is a word which has taken from the Mongol. During the 16th century, Europeans used the term Mughal to describe the Indian ruler of this branch of family, which succeeded after the Babur for many years together. Now, one more thing which I would like to tell over here, that the hero of the Jungle Book, which is written by Rudyard Kipling, and this is an animal fable. The hero of this Jungle Book is Mowgli. So Mowgli also derived its name from the Mughals, because Mughals used to be very popular at that time. The Mughals and their empire. First of all, Zahiruddin Mahmud, popularly known as the Babur, founded the Mughal Empire in 1526. Now what happened in 1526? In 1526, the first battle of Panipat took place, and thereafter they founded the Mughal dynasty in India, and he defeated the ruler of that time. He was from the Lodi dynasty, and that was the Abraham Lodi. So he was defeated in the first battle of Panipat. His successor was Nasiruddin Humayun, and he ruled twice in India between 1530 to 1540, and thereafter 1555 to 1556. Why there is a gap between 40 to 1555? These 15 years were not good for the Mughal family, because Nasiruddin Humayun got a defeat at the hand of an Afghan leader, and his name was the Sher Shah Suri. Sher Shah Suri defeated him at the Battle of Chausa. As a result, Nasiruddin Humayun was thrown away from India, and he went to Iran, and for 15 years he remained in the court of the Safavid ruler of Iran. After the death of Sher Shah Suri at the Battle of Kalinjar, his successor also became quite weaker, and that gave an opportunity for Nasiruddin Humayun to come back to India. And then he came back to India, and he defeated the Suri ruler of that time, and he set up again his rule in Delhi. So he came in 1555 after the Battle of Sirhind, and he ruled for 1 year almost up to 1556, and thereafter he died an accidental death because he fell from the staircases of Deen Panah building, which is in Delhi, and that resulted in the death of Nasiruddin Humayun. And during his refuge in the Safavid court, he also got married to a Persian lady, and she gave birth to the son that was Akbar. And after his death, Akbar became the ruler of the Mughal dynasty, and he is considered to be the most important ruler of the Mughal dynasty. Now you can see that this is the image of Akbar. Jalaluddin Akbar was the greatest of all the Mughal emperors, and he expanded and consolidated the empire. Akbar had three fairly able successors. And how Akbar became the ruler of Mughal dynasty? He became the ruler of after the death of Nasiruddin Humayun, and he also fought a battle in Panipat, and he defeated Hemu, who was the last Hindu ruler of Delhi. He was the enemy of Akbar. He conquered Delhi after the death of Humayun. So though Hemu who was from the Haryana, Rewari. He got a defeat at the hand of Akbar in the second battle of Panipat in 1556, and thereafter he liberated the Delhi from his rule and he became the ruler of a Mughal dynasty or Mughal empire in India. Akbar had three fairly able successors. His son Salim, who is popularly known as the Jahangir, he also ruled India between 1605 to 27. Thereafter Shah Jahan, whose actual name was the Khurram, and he was the son of Jahangir, and he ruled Mughal empire between 1628 to 1658, almost 30 years. Thereafter Aurangzeb, who was the son of Shah Jahan, he became the ruler of Mughal empire in India between 1658 to 1707, and after the death of Aurangzeb in 1707, Mughal empire started declining because there was no able successor after him who could control the Mughal rule in India. So under these 4 or 5 rulers, a lot of expansion took place in the Mughal empire, but after the death of Aurangzeb, that started to be reducing day by day because the successors used to be very, very weak. And the last emperor of the Mughal rule was Bahadur Shah Zafar, who was finally thrown away by the Britishers after the revolt of 1857, and he was sent to the Rangoon, and there he died in an exile. So that is all about the Mughal rule and their rulers. It's a brief history.